I'd like to introduce you to my Fallout 76 campsite. I think out of the entire game, the only replayable and robust part of it might actually be the camp building system, which is just built off of the Fallout 4's camp building system, well, settlement building system. As you can see, I have quite a bit of Atom Shop items and some of the seasonal content rewards as well. The front of the home has a porch, seating area, campfire. And to the left is a small garden space intended to pot plants before they're planted around. At least that's what it's supposed to look like. The front door opens up into the living room space. To the right is a bathroom. I was able to get interior walls on both sides by using a trick with the vault walls and then using the replace commands to swap them out for the wooden ones just to get the wood frame on there. I like the look of the hunting lodge couch and hunting lodge fireplace, though they do reduce the amount of space. It's already pretty cramped because that's only a 2x2 floor grid. Moving on to the kitchen and dining space. Windows show the exterior of the campsite. I just have some of the Nuka-Cola bottles on display.
I really need to find a way to bring back water ice.
Into the main bedroom, the only bedroom. It's a relatively small enclosed space, mainly because camp building doesn't allow for very much land space, and I wasn't interested in building a second floor, mainly because the build limits on items. I figured that decorations and other tchotchkes hanging around were far more important for the build to make it look like an actual space that was used. Exterior patio space has a unusable grill, which is my only complaint about this whole thing. This originally started off as a smaller one tile exterior shop space for players to come up to use the vending machine, but it's expanded over the years that I've been playing the game into this more themed space. It's supposed to kind of look more like a Slocum's Joe drive-through thing, kind of like what you'd see drive-through coffee places along highways, rest stops, and things like that. Then I have the Nuka-Cola vending machine outside. I'm sorry, the Red Rocket vending machine outside. That's, I guess, supposed to be a gasoline pump, but doesn't quite make any sense in anyone's camps anymore. I set up these exterior walls on the outside of the road along here to make it look more like a road checkpoint for players walking along the roads. Most players, though, whenever I've met them, just steer clear of camps for whatever reason. So instead, this is very much cosmetic. I have a habit of changing this area of the camp pretty frequently. The rear of the campsite. Right now I have a trailer set up with a fusion generator inside of it. It doesn't quite make any sense as a mobile living space or second bed space. So it's just kind of containing some of the random other camp items that are used on a pretty frequent basis. The ammo converter, the ammo generation unit. This camp space also has the metal ore available to it, so that's one bonus of using this site specifically. Let's go ahead and take a look at the utility tunnels here in the underground space. Kind of set this up as a fake space corner. Got the poster for the lunar lander along with the asteroid from the recent alien event. Kind of just a small entryway leading to an awkward shrine for Volt Boy. And of course the Organtron Deluxe. Another Atom Shop item. I set up this corner to make it look like it's just extra seating and chairs that have been stored and set aside. Pretty much all the corners and behind the walls of the interior shelter spaces I've used as surplus backup storage areas because those make the most sense to be like that. It's supposed to be a combination clinic slash eating area. There's a convenient water leak, so I set up a pot to make it look like I'm trying to collect the water as it's dripping down. Kitchen space, and there is a vending machine since they allowed the vending items inside of shelters as well. This is a giant entryway to the workshop space in the back. So you've just got other workbenches that would have been part of the camp, but I decided to move them down here as I ran out of build budget for the campsite with all the extra display items and things like that. And as it grew in size over time. As I said, I used the awkward corners of the shelter for extra space, and I try to make it look more like it's a awkward collection of random junk and storage. And through the bathroom, they don't allow sinks in the shelter spaces, so unfortunately that's the best I could do to make it look like a sink. Shower is just a radiation shower. Along the sides here next to the dining eatery space, there's display. The shelter space normally has a white light here, but I used some colored lamps to make it look green so the trees looked a little bit more vibrant than they actually are. And it was just clever placement of some of the plant camp items from the Atom Shop to get them to look a little bit more wild. There's also a hidden camouflaged man in there. So the clinic space is actually pretty small, but this doctor's table is supposed to be part of it. And just to look at some of the storage space in the corner. I was going for a theme of making it look like this is where all the unused or collected junk that may be restored at some point is kept. Taking a look at the next shelter space that I had available. This one was available just if you had the subscription, which I did have, which is part of the reason why I have so many Atom Shop items. So this front area is dedicated to workbenches once again, even though they're duplicated from the last shelter space. Since this one has a little bit more space, there's a little bit more area dedicated to displays and whatnot. I have some of the power armor sets on display there. The new seasonal chemistry sessions there as well. Billboards from the Atom Shop up on the sides. I tried to organize these plant spaces into something that looked a little bit more better than just the base item themselves, combining items together. I have a planter floating inside of the bush to make it look like it's actually taller than it is, and tried to hide the actual pot with some of the bush itself. This space is supposed to be a giant seating area for people to converse. And there is an interior, more private space with a fire, which doesn't make sense with all this wood around it. Just ready to go up in a blaze of fire. And this side is dedicated to the small restaurant look. Once again, most of these items are actually all Atom Shop items. I've been really back and forth about the quality of Atom Shop items and whether or not building with them is necessarily a good thing or a bad thing. They allow players to have some individuality with their builds, but also you're paying for the privilege of being unique. But that's kind of the case in the real world, in real life too. So I don't know. I had atoms available to me just because of the subscription, because I thought the game was fairly decent after some of the expansions that they made, and then I canceled the subscription when it was no longer relevant to me. Set up this area into a lounge area, and of course this is just the physical fitness gym area, so it's a little bit more Spartan. Some of the seasonal items that increase your stats are available there. Once again, behind the walls, more storage spaces. So this one's a lot cleaner because it is the furthest back of all the shelter space, essentially. You'd have to go walking through one shelter, then all the way to the back of this shelter to be able to even see this. So it's a lot more organized and less used. This is supposed to be more like a maintenance area, So lockers for the maintenance man, probably his trunk that he moved, and then just some extra chairs that have been left behind, and a creepy fortune telling machine that was moved there recently. That's the idea, anyway. So that's the rec room space. It's meant to be kind of a party central area for people living here. A lot of the conduits and things like that have been hidden, so it's not as obvious that they're there. I am not a fan of the look of a bunch of wires hanging around inside of spaces, so I try to use conduit when it's available. Since the shelter budgets are so large, you can get away with using conduit instead of outside like in a camp space. And just some of the pathways that I used for some of the wires around the sides. This goes upstairs into the residential section. We got this small seating space into the front porches for the 2 homes that I have set up in this shelter space. Once again, there's a planter on the side here, mainly because there was nothing else to do with the space. Makes it look a little bit more livable. So this is home number 2. And the theme for this interior space is supposed to be a little bit more I guess this is the fancier of the 2 homes. It's a little bit more themed to be more like a study. Comfy chair next to a TV. Fancier desk, ugly marble bust on the top of it. But the view outside is pretty good, I think. Definitely doesn't make you look like you're looking directly into the interior space of a completely metal vault. And this should be home number 1, but it looks like the sign got ripped off the wall there somehow. This entryway, I decided to just mess around and use the recent season wallpaper. I made little porches on each one of these that are supposed to make it look like you're looking at the outside from a distance. So if you're inside and you look out the door, you can see the sky wallpaper as a facade. This one's themed to make it look like it's a collector's nightmare. Some guy that's really into comic books. And a similar looking view from his window as well. You can see the plants that I tried to combine to make it look like it's a little bit more than just a sum of its parts, but something more unique. Anyway, that's the entirety of my campsite. Figured I should just at least record it for posterity more than anything else. See you later. Bye-bye.